All right, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. Today I have, why does half of America look like this? Now, we all, most of the people watching this video, I'm gonna just assume we all live in America. I mean, obviously I might have some viewers that live in Europe or Australia. Who knows? I don't know if my content is that worldwide, but anything is possible. But yeah, we all typically live in America, and you know how most American towns look like. They have the few buildings, or most American small towns, a Dollar General maybe, AutoZone, and a McDonald's. That's most towns for you. So I found this video today, and it's going to be explaining why basically all towns tend to look like this. So yeah, also I know something. This is a weird background. This guy's got like a rack of like professional clothes and like a table with books on it and whatever that is, and a pillow on the ground. That's a little bizarre, but I'm not judging, so let's check it out.
The United States of America is home to over 7,000 European-style walkable towns, featuring high-density mixed-use buildings with beautifully ornate architecture. But since the 1940s, almost all of them have been abandoned, leaving thousands of—
this right here is what they all look like. All of them look like this. There's like 1 million parking spaces on the street, and 4 of them have cars on
main streets across small-town USA in a state of near neglect, with the few businesses that continue to operate barely getting by. But what if I told you that these derelict stretches of buildings were the single greatest economic opportunity that exists in the United States, and that reviving them would not only generate millions of dollars for small towns, but also alleviate poverty in middle America?
The thing is, people are just moving out of them, like people, if a lot of people lived in a small, you'll see small towns. I know small towns where those businesses like that are thriving because the people that live in that town those are the only places they want to go to. They don't want to drive to the next town over 30 minutes away to go to the biggest stores when they have it, right there in the center of town. So it works if there isn't a big city nearby. You can have a city like this, but it has to be in like the middle of nowhere. So because those people they don't have to leave, they don't have to drive an hour away to go to the store when they have one in their little small town. They may not have a Walmart, but they might have a local grocery store that's like a family-owned place that has been in business since 1875 or something like that.
America, and quite possibly restore the American dream to this country. Well, that's
long ago.
What we're going to investigate today.
That went away in like 2012.
From 1850 to 1910, the United States built the most expansive urban railway network that the world had ever seen. Every 7 to 10 miles, railway companies and state governments would intentionally build a large church, an opera house, government buildings,
Yep, you see this everywhere.
I
know the one over here it was called the Atlantic Coastline. If you see this, if you follow this railroad track, you will pass through so many towns, and you see it all over. Like it passes through like main cities in North Carolina, South Carolina. It goes all the way down here. Like they purposely do this thing where they would build tracks and then they would build a church and a law enforcement place or anything like that to kind of kickstart the business, because wherever rails are, wherever freight is being moved, that's room for infrastructure. So
every 7 to 10 miles, railway companies and state governments would intentionally build a large church, an opera house, government buildings, multi-story commercial structures, and a railway depot, which would all be surrounded by houses on a residential grid and connected to the main train station via streetcars. And then, depending on the culture and climate of wherever was being settled, buildings would be constructed in either an Italianate, Beaux Arts.
And now the only thing that's left in these towns are like, the train track will still be there, but it'll be like an abandoned building. Some of the people will still live there, but
settled, buildings would be
the flavor it once had is
constructed in either an Italianate, Beaux Arts, or Romanesque revival architectural style, in order to ensure that every town in America was beautiful and displayed the wealth and power of this great nation being created. And if you're thinking to yourself, hey, wait a minute, that is literally how all of Japan is structured, then you would be onto something, because at the exact same time, the United States States was forcing Japan to do the same thing to their own country as part of the Meiji Restoration. But unlike Japan today, the rural interior of the United States absolutely sucks to get around, because everything changed when Ford and Walmart attacked. After World War II, the personal vehicle
America's not walkable. That's the main disadvantage.
Completely replaced rail
Like, you need a car
in the United States, incentivizing houses to become more spread out, corporate offices to be moved out of urban centers.
And this is how every state looks. I mean, looking at this is probably like Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, probably New York. I mean, this is, I can just look at this and probably guess what this is. This is how every house looks nowadays. I mean, I get it. You can't make that many house designs, but it's just a layout. Looks so
houses to become more spread out, corporate offices to be moved out of urban centers, and shopping to be decentralized into suburban strip malls. Combine that with the Interstate Highway Act of 1956, subsidies on suburban mortgages for first-time home buyers.
That is like the American dream house right there.
1956.
You think of the American dream, this is the house you think of.
Subsidies on suburban mortgages for first-time home buyers, and the U.S. Federal Urban Renewal Program.
That house cost $8,000.
Urban mortgages for first-time home buyers, and the U.S. Federal Urban Renewal Program, which intentionally knocked down historic buildings, and the United States, quite literally, paved the way to destroy what could have been the most beautiful country on Earth, to instead create some of the ugliest and most hostile.
Oh my God, this is how every city looks. This is every city. Every city has this, and then they have a downtown that is disgusting, and they want this to be the new downtown. They don't want the historic place to be the downtown. They want this place to be like, it's so ugly. I hate the way it's designed.
Style communities in the development.
This is how every town, hotels, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Burger King is probably somewhere over here. Like Subway, Taco Bell. Where's the gas station at? One right here, one right there. I mean,
developed world. For anyone who happened to be a little kid in the 2000s, this is what the movie Cars was about. But here's the thing. Thousands of these towns are still standing across America because these buildings were designed to last for centuries, with the assumption that young Americans alive today would be living in a similar economy with a similar standard of living to people in Western Europe.
No.
Our forefathers would almost surely be horrified to learn that it is downright normal for Americans to have to spend money on foreign gasoline to drive 20 minutes to a hideous grocery store in the middle of nowhere just to eat. But I digress. Main Street restoration projects are the single greatest opportunity that Americans have to revive our communities, improve our standard of living, create a new generation of entrepreneurs, and take back the billions of dollars that big box chains are siphoning away from us every year.
Dollar General is like a monopoly at this point. I mean, Dollar General is quite literally a monopoly. Who are they competing with? Family Dollar, Dollar Tree?
That big box chains,
gas stations. I mean, they can't even
are siphoning away from us every
Dollar General is like the Walmart to a lot of small cities.
Year.
So they don't really have competition, and there's so many of them. It's literally a
monopoly. Statistic that will blow your mind. So the average historic downtown in the US contains dozens of 2 to 5 story tall buildings spread out across a few blocks, with each building averaging between 4,000 and 8,000 square feet of space. Over the past decade, whenever a rural community has decided to restore their downtown, these buildings go for $175 to $400 per square foot as part of the commercial mixed-use real estate market. That means, depending on their size, that one fully revived Main Street is worth anywhere from $40 million in small towns to over $140 million in mid-sized cities in real estate value alone. And then depending on the economy and the tax structure of whatever state the town is in, can generate anywhere from $2 million a year in the smallest towns to over $500 million a year in big cities, making these districts 10 times more valuable than big box stores and parking lots taking up the exact same amount of space, and making downtown revitalization the single highest return investment that a community can possibly engage in. And I'm going to show you exactly why.
Oh, so you're gonna drive to one?
So, my home state of Utah is home to one of the most robust urban rail networks in the United States, connecting 15 cities across 81 miles. So, if I want to go to downtown Salt Lake City for work or to meet up with friends, then all I have to do is get to a frontrunner station and I am good to go. Now, don't get me wrong, I could just drive to Salt Lake City in about 40 minutes, but I drive a 2008 SUV, so doing so would cost me a quarter tank of gas, or about $30 as of the latest conflict in the Middle East, and would force me to drive down a busy interstate with lots of traffic, followed by a busy downtown with lots of foot traffic, where I would then have to fight for a parking spot, which runs $11 a day in Salt Lake City. So I'm going to take the train, which will instead cost me $5.50 each way and $0 in parking. Not to mention the fact that I can sit back and relax because I'm not driving. Because
that's it. How are rail companies making money? I'm sorry, guys. There's this fly flying around my area right now. It is making me upset. It's been doing this for the last 2 hours.
Because all of these trains have tables, outlets, and free Wi-Fi. Now granted, taking the train will run 55 minutes as opposed to 40 minutes of driving.
Really? The train is slower? It probably has to stop at other stations.
Assuming no traffic. But given the fact that I-15 always has traffic, in that the train has to stop in 5 other cities along the way, it's oftentimes faster than taking a car. Once I get to Salt Lake, then I quickly hop on the light rail into the no-fare area of downtown, saving me a ton of money and headache, and making me that much more able and willing to participate in free market capitalism. Whether I want to get my Jesus on, grab a slice of pizza, or get a $3 pint at one of my favorite pubs, downtown Salt Lake City makes it so incredibly easy to do so. The streets are clean, the buildings are beautiful to look at, and the shopping districts are enjoyable to walk around. The truth is that I just wouldn't be willing to come here and spend money as often as I do if it wasn't so easy, affordable, and enjoyable to do so. And you can definitely see that with the types of people walking around. Utah's downtowns are mostly filled with families, teens hanging out, and working professionals, which is what middle American cities can and should be. But let's be extremely real and honest here. A lot of downtowns in many other states are mostly filled with homeless people, drug addicts, and gang activity. Because
yeah, that the East Coast. I was hoping he was from the East Coast so I could get I could relate to it. That is not how my city looks, at least. I mean, I live in a decently big city, about 100,000 people. So it's not tiny, but I do live around places that look like what he showed at the beginning, like the, old buildings that are abandoned. And there are some in the downtown of my city.
Suburban.
Usually they get taken up by newer businesses, but
some led to less economic activity and therefore less government funding and less police monitoring, which created more crime, more dilapidation, and even fewer reasons why any normal people would want to visit a historic downtown. Because at the end of the day, urban infrastructure matters. Clean streets matter. Beautiful buildings matter. And mixed-use zoning that allows apartments, shops, churches, and train stations to all coexist on the same block matters. Because it makes it easier for people living outside the main city to visit and spend money. And that makes these downtowns safer by sheer virtue of having more people around. It attracts real entrepreneurs to an area as opposed to just building another Target. And this all creates a virtuous
Yep, build a Target and a Best Buy and a Five Below. There you go right there. That's all you need.
feedback loop, creating jobs, a high standard of living, and a ton of revenue for the state without having to increase income taxes on your people. But all of that gets lost when a community is completely reliant on car-centric suburbs and strip malls. And the biggest reason for that is distance. When people are living in massive sprawling suburbs, it costs nearly 3 times as much money for the government to supply those people with the roads, sewers, power lines, and emergency responders that they need. Not only that, but simply building these suburbs ends
that's why big cities are just not a good idea economically.
up destroying
I mean, they are in generating money, but in the money's spent,
a lot of the generational farmland and natural environment that a state used to have, which also, ironically, makes those acres of land less productive. Because the property taxes you get from 3 middle-class houses built on a single acre of land produces nowhere even close to the economic output that a farm or a mixed-use commercial and residential building could. Okay, we're talking about magnitudes of difference in economic potential for a community. And look, I know it's easy to feel hopeless, given the fact that we've already built a gajillion car-centric suburbs, and given the fact that so many historic downtowns in this country have fallen into such a sorrow.
Yeah. This is what a lot of cities look like near me, or not cities, towns. And then they have this, and then down the street they have a Family Dollar, and they have a Speedway, and then that's all you need. Or not a Family Dollar, Dollar General.
State. But the buildings are still there. The railroad tracks.
My city looks more something
but
like
the buildings
no.
are still.
I mean, the buildings that we do have are they're like, we don't have really a lot of abandoned buildings because there's too many people for them to go abandoned. But there, like I said, there's places around me that are
still there. They can be repaired, they can be expanded into the suburbs, and regulations can change to allow passenger trains priority. I would honestly recommend that states look at Utah.
I think America definitely needs more passenger rail because my city doesn't have a train station, but I'm like 30 minutes away from a place that does. So can we maybe get
is a really good place to start. Utah is like a notably red state, and yet we still passed the regulations and we still allocated the tax money in order to have long distance commuter rail between cities, light rail that connects those trains to downtowns, and bus systems to fill in the gaps, several of which are straight up free to ride for everyone in multiple towns. And this is a huge part of why our people and Colorado's are healthier, happier, and have access to more job opportunities than virtually every other non-coastal state in this country. But the good news is that we are now seeing so many success stories of restoring inland communities, proving to us that you can update zoning laws, you can kick out all the corrupt landlords who are unfriendly towards businesses, and you can generate millions of dollars in revenue and restore the American dream to your community by reviving your historic downtown. And you, the viewer, can dive deeper into this subject by watching this video next on why pickup trucks continue to get larger in the United States as a result of a lot of the issues we just talked about here.
That actually looks like a good video. All right, well, that was
I will see you over there.
Yeah, that was a good video. Very insightful. It is sad to see like the older style of, towns disappear. I do miss that type of look. That's why when I, do, get a little bit older, I do want a house, out in the country. I want to live in kind of a smaller city, and sorry for this fly. It's pissing me off again. But I do want to live in like a smaller town. I want to live next to kind of a big city, but I don't want to live in the big city, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, though. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the video. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, hope you guys have a great day, and peace out.